What is up, everybody? Welcome to the first edition of what will hopefully be weekly GPP picks for the Premier League here at FSI. I'm Alex Hooper. Make sure to give us a like, follow, all of that down below, subscribe here, and follow me on Twitter at Lex Hooper, @Lex Hooper, Alex Hooper. It's the whole thing. So this video is basically going to be kind of a companion piece to Gator's breakdown of slates. He's going to give you a lot more of a cash perspective. I'm playing a lot more GPPs these days. So do what he does, and then you're going to want to come to this video if you want to get a little different. So I'm not necessarily telling you who I think will be the best plays. I'm telling you how to get different, how to find some goals and really get some solid GPP win equity, kind of pivoting off of some of the other cash sorts of players and lineups. So let's dive into it, and hopefully along the way I'll be able to show you kind of some of the things that I do, for better or for worse. I'm not the best GPP player in the world, but I've gotten better at it, and I think I'm all right. So let's dive in on this slate. It's going to start right here with Sheffield, Crystal Palace, and it's going to be City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, Southampton. Liverpool, the biggest favorite on the slate. They need to win to try to get back into the top four, while Southampton is fine. They're not really playing for much. Manchester City and Chelsea, meanwhile, is, of course, a preview of the Champions League final. Tactically, I don't know what either of these guys are going to do. Pep Guardiola could play a lot of things close to the chest. He could go all out and try to win the Premier League by getting 3 points today and just get on with it. On the other side, Thomas Tuchel is someone who looks up to Pep Guardiola and mirrors a lot of his ways of doing things. So he might feel like he has something to prove. I doubt it. So I don't really know what's going to go on there. And it's also, 2.25 total. City's a decent favorite. Not a lot of DFS goodness coming out of Chelsea. So you might want to avoid that game more than anything. But we'll see. We'll look at it here in a second. So Palace and United. Palace, a slight favorite. Again, these two teams not playing for much as we can look at the table. Sheffield's already relegated. Palace is technically safe. I think if they win, they'd have to win 2 more. Or maybe if they win 1 more, trying to do the math in my head, then they'd be 12 clear of Fulham. So yeah, if they get 1 point, they'll be 12 clear of Fulham. If they get 3 points, I think they're safe, but they're safe. So not a lot to play for there. City, of course, just needs the 3 points to win it. Chelsea needs to stay clear of West Ham. I'm not going to try and be a funny guy and say that they need to stay clear of Spurs. If you know me from Tilt City, I'm a Spurs fan. But Liverpool needs to get back in that race. They can jump Spurs with a win, depending on what Spurs do with Leeds earlier in the day. But so yeah, this Chelsea and Liverpool, this one's much more important to them for whatever that's worth. Let's go over to the slate. And we'll start it forward and just take a look through the player pool and see who's maybe someone you can get a goal out of. As I scroll down here really quick, this is RotoWire's cheat sheets. And if you've never used this before, I very much recommend it. And I'll show you why as we get into it. Win draw percentage per team, clean sheet, implied goals, goal scoring odds, free kick takers, and then this one is the player stats, which you can sort by floor if you're making a cash lineup and kind of figure out where you're going to go. But again, back to the slate. So it starts up top with Salah, Mahrez, and Mane, and Jota, Sterling. So the City and Liverpool guys way up top. Obviously, with Liverpool being the biggest favorites on the slate, Salah and Mane are going to be very popular. I don't know about Jota. I don't think he's even scheduled to start over Roberto Firmino at this point. But if he does at that price point, he might be a little less owned, but he's not going to be one of my favorite guys. So we're going to make an all GPP team over here. Don't play this team. You'll probably lose. It's like a 1 in a million outcome for them all to score, and there's going to be no floor guys over there. So that's a disclaimer here. Like, that's not what I'm putting together. I'm just putting them on the screen. I'm not giving you a lineup. I'm giving you guys that you can put into a better lineup with actual floor guys. So Mahrez at 9.2. If Kevin De Bruyne doesn't start, like, maybe he's a cash guy, but for GPP, I don't love him at that price. So let's scroll down. So this is where I get interested. This is going to be my first guy in, is Wilfried Zaha. Sheffield are bad. And when they played Spurs last week, I said to myself, they don't have anything to play for anyway. Like, they might be wild cards. They might throw it all against the wall and see what sticks. And Spurs aren't great right now, whatever. And they were bad. They're prone to give up goals. So Wilfried Zaha at 78 isn't a great price, but I think he gives you the best chance for a non-big favorite. I mean, I guess they're favorites, but I think he's a relatively low-owned play who can come away with 2 goals or a goal and an assist and still get you to the same place that maybe a Salah does if he just scores 1 goal, or, you know, a Mane or something like that. So he's going to lead the line here. I'm not going to recommend him with flying colors, but he's definitely a guy that I think if you can get to him, you might want to try, because Sheffield are just bad. Crystal Palace is also bad. That's the thing to consider here. They're not good at all, and they don't have anything to play for. But I think Wilfried Zaha generally feels like he does, and I think these guys still want to win, but you can say the same for Sheffield. So moving on, Andrews Townsend's not supposed to play. Werner and Pulisic at these prices, I don't love them against City. Again, like, you need a goal, and I think that's about all you're going to get, so I'm not in love with them. Sergio Aguero, meanwhile, at 6,900, very different, on a favored team. I think they want to get him going. He's not going to make my lineup here, but he's a guy who, if he is in the starting lineup, it's the second match. So maybe you get a little bit of an ownership discount, fewer guys on him, because, you know, you don't know if he's going to start. Right now on SofaScore, he is not in the projected starting lineup, whereas some other projections do have him in. I think Pep's going to want to get him in, get him going a little bit as he heads out the door from the Etihad. I think they want to get him that 1 goal to make him the Premier League leader. Hudson-Odoi at that price, probably not. Firmino at 6,700. I always play Firmino in GPPs. He goes pretty under-owned. I think here he definitely could, and that's a decent price. Etze is another guy from Crystal Palace who at 66, like, you could swap him out with Zaha, and I wouldn't be mad at you. I would consider that as well. I'm going to skip over some of these guys really quick because there's 2 right here, and they're both going to take spots in this lineup. Christian Benteke at 5,600. That's a wonderful price against a bad team, and I'll show you why I want to start him. Sorry, I was looking at Crystal Palace. Let's get back to Palace. All right, so if you look at XG, there's Zaha and then Benteke. When you look at the rest of this team, like, Benteke hasn't even played the 90s that these guys have, and he's shooting more and shooting from decent enough positions to rack up XG. So, you know, I'd say fine. He's got some assist equity, but he's more expensive, and you're looking for upside. So yes, he can get you there, but I think Benteke can get you even further. I'll show you another thing that I always look at. I've talked about this before. Shots on target per 90. We want guys who are shooting. If you want to win a GPP, you need goals. If you want goals, you need to shoot. Christian Benteke shoots on target almost 1.5 times per 90, which doesn't sound like a ton, and that doesn't guarantee a goal. But when you look at some of the other numbers on this team, that's way higher. I mean, even shots per 90, pretty clear of Zaha. So you're going to get shots out of Benteke. And for 5,600, on this slate against this team, I think he makes a ton of sense. So I'm going to lock him in. I'm going to go back to forward really quick. Another guy, and I'm just going to add him straight away here because we need goals, and I think you're going to want to rotate forwards. Che Adams at 5,500. So Liverpool's defense is still not great. They need to win, yes, but they're not the Liverpool of old. They're at Anfield, so I feel a little worse about this pick. But I'm a big believer in Che Adams as a player. Let's do this now. Let's go back here. Let's look at Che Adams' numbers really quick. I think he's a great player. A lot of that is advanced statistics. I don't know if these ones are going to show it, but let's take a look. What is his XG? Okay, same as Danny Ings in 400 more minutes. That's great. Non-penalty XG plus assist equity. See, he's a nice little player. Again, they're the biggest dog on the slate, but that's where you get ownership sometimes. Shots on target per 90. Danny Ings just ahead of Che Adams. So I really like Che Adams at this price. Again, I think very highly of him, and I think Southampton can get a goal. They've been bad as well. So I'm not saying plug Che Adams into all of your lineups, but like I would be willing to play Benteke and Che Adams in a cash lineup if they got me to every other piece that I wanted. These are guys who I think, for the price of pretty much nothing at midfield, we'll see, I guess, but these are guys who can get you goals. I'm not recommending you play them in cash. I think you can. I think they're low enough price to where you probably can put them in and not lose anything and maybe give yourself a little more upside. But let's just run through the forwards again, or not again, but just really quickly. Theo Walcott at 4,000 if you really want savings. If he starts over Nathan Tella, sure. And then if you really want to get weird with ownership and you want some good prices, Ryan Brewster and Ollie Burke at 36 and 3,500. That's the best savings you're going to get on the slate. I wouldn't recommend it, but again, Palace are bad. So if these savings get you to something, go for it, man. I see no reason not to do it. Also, McGoldrick at 61. I don't love it. I'd rather have Benteke and Che Adams, but I'll probably get to him once or twice. So that's the forwards. Let's take a look at the midfielders. I'm going to take a sip of coffee because you can probably hear my voice going a little bit. All right, I'm sorry if you had to hear that. All right. And then I can't even talk. So midfield. You got the same sort of guys here. De Bruyne, if in probably a lock in your cash lineup, even if he goes 75, 80. Solid again. Foden, if De Bruyne misses, it's going to be Foden or Mahrez in your cash lineup. Mason Mount at 88. I don't know. I'm a big I don't love Mason Mount, but if Gator and Storm over at FSI tell me to play him, I'll play him, but I don't like playing him. So a bunch of the same guys. Silva, Gundogan, the prices, I don't love it. Ferran Torres at 74, even then, against Chelsea. I don't love that. I'd probably find a way to get him in GPPs, but he's not one of my favorites. James Ward-Prowse at 72 might be my third cash guy, and I also don't think he's a horrible choice for GPPs, just because he's on penalties. He has the ability to bag a free kick. But as far as his goal equity goes against Liverpool, I think he's more likely to get an assist. But I like him. I don't know that I'll go to him here. Some of the same guys we already talked about, Firmino, Eze. I'm half tempted to just put Eze in here, but I want to take a look at some other guys like Kai Havertz, who at 6,200, I thought he was 58. I swore when I looked last night he was a little lower. See, that changes things. That makes me think that I'd rather play Eze at this price because I think Palace are more likely to score. Like, you need a goal out of either one of these guys, and that's why you're playing them in GPP. But I think I'd rather have Eze at this price because he's actually got some floor. All right, I'm going to plug Eze in. This is not how I saw this video going. I had it in my mind that I had Kai Havertz locked in already. So maybe we'll get back to him. But I like him. I like him at that price. I think he's worth getting into. I might pop back up and put him in this spot. But let's see what else is here. Ziyech, if he starts, I like him more. Curtis Jones, bleh. Armstrong's more of a cash guy. Nathan Redmond at 48, again, good price on a guy from Southampton who could, I mean, he's going to play up front, could score against the leaky Liverpool back line. A back line who's been better. I need to clarify. They've been better, I think. But not my favorite here. Ben Osborne at 45 is really not bad against Palace. Probably more of a cash guy. Schlepp Genipo. Walcott again, 4,000. Nathan Tella at 35. That's stone minimum for a forward. If he does start instead of Theo Walcott, I like that price. If you can get there, then you got Burke again. Conte. All right. So I want to put Tella in here. I don't think he's going to play. So I'm just going to pop Kai in. I still think I like him more than some of the other guys here. If it's Ziyech, put Ziyech in here. But this is not a lineup you should play. These are guys you should play in other lineups, but I want to keep them on the screen. But yeah, same thing goes here for your. You can put Ziyech in easily, Walcott, Tella, and then you got your Burke, who I think you'd rather play at a forward spot. But let's take a look at some defenders. So this is a weird one because, you know, there's not a lot you want out of your defenders in GPP. You're not playing them for goals generally. So it's going to be a little different. I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold's going to be a lock, probably the biggest lock on the slate, even at 7,000. It's against Southampton. They need to win. He'll be pushing. I wouldn't even fault people for going boom, boom in cash. Not Chilwell, not you, Robertson. Just because of how much Liverpool need this and how relative to everything else it is on the slate. But so those are more cash plays. If you can get there in GPP, I think it's a great place to get your floor. Like if I'm fading anybody in GPPs, it's probably going to be Kevin De Bruyne as opposed to the defenders, unless I need the cash. Because I know what TAA is going to get me. TAA can get me like 12 on a good day. And then maybe an assist, 18, you're looking at it. But like De Bruyne has the capability of putting up 36. Like it's nothing. Even against Chelsea. I don't think he will, but I'm just saying. So anyway, so I'm going to skip over some of the more expensive defenders. I will say Kyle Walker-Peters at 4,500 is a decent price point. I'm also a little biased, an old Spurs guy. But if you're looking for goals, I think it starts right here at 3,600 with Kurt Zouma. City's defense is so good. I don't see them giving up goals on headers. But as far as goals from defenders go, I think Zoom is as good as you're going to do. Just looking at some of these other guys. Palace's center backs don't generally get up. Neither does Sheffield's anymore. They used to. Used to play a little further forward if they were towards the wing because the wing backs would be so far forward, but that doesn't really happen anymore. So I think really for GPPs, you're looking at Zuma, you're looking at Ruben Diaz, built-in floor Diaz, and also the ability to score off a set piece, but clean sheet equity as well. I don't love a lot of these spots. So I'm just going to give you two defenders who are fairly cheap and can get you to some other places. Obviously, this lineup has plenty of salary left over because we're looking at salary savings with goal upside in this video. You could do anything with goalkeeper at this point, but I think in cash, Allison makes a lot of sense, even though they have that leaky back line. I've been talking about that. Ederson probably makes sense, but you need a clean sheet. Gaeta's probably my favorite on the slate. If you can't tell, I really like Palace here, which I'm sure won't come back to bite me. But I think my favorite GPP goalie is Edouard Mendy, and Fraser Forster being my second. Just because they're going to face shots. I think Mendy faces shots and has less chance of conceding than Southampton and Forster and McCarthy. I don't think it's a huge difference, but I don't know. Southampton's more likely to get battered, so I could take it back. I think either one is where you want to go at keeper in GPPs. Obviously, in GPPs, maybe it's not obvious. I keep saying obviously. In GPPs, you might want to change things up with goalie. Sometimes, for me, what I'll do is I'll plug in a cashy lineup and I'll just change the forwards out. I'll just kind of cycle through the forwards I like, pair them with different people. And then the next thing I'll do is decide that I need to fade De Bruyne or TAA, the chalkier guys on the slate. Find one of them to fade and get different elsewhere, find some other upside. So then you're getting differential and you're getting more of that upside. And then if I have lineups I like and there's not a lot else I want to do, I'll just go to lineups where I paid up for the keeper and I'll just pay down, save. Open it up again, import it, pay down again, save. And that way you get exposure to all these guys who have the random potential 15-point clean sheet upside. And if you end up throwing away 4 lineups because there's no one really great at keeper, then so be it. That affects the whole slate. So if the rest of your lineup's good, then if you have the best goalkeeper, you're more likely to end at the top. So yeah, that's it. Those are the guys that I like. Just to run through it again, I love the Palace guys. Zaha, Benteke, Etse. I'm going to get a mix of all of them because it's Sheffield, and then I'm sure it'll wind up 0-0, and I'll end up tilting the rest of the day, and you'll hear about it on Tilt City next weekend. Don't forget to join us for that. Kai Havertz or Hakim Ziyech at their prices I really like in GPPs. Kurt Zuma, probably the guy that I want to go to if I can pay up at defender, beyond the 2,500s. If I'm not purely punting, if I can get to Zuma, cool. Mendy, and then whoever the Southampton keeper is, I think has a potential for some upside. And then Che Adams, I like at 5,500 too. Potentially score against the sometimes leaky Liverpool backline. So that'll do it for me. That'll do it for the first week of our GPP picks and pivots here on FSI. If you have any questions, leave them below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at Lex Hooper. If you have any questions for me, send them over there. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you then.